Hi there, and welcome to Market Magnet's introduction to Suite CRM. So a couple of things to know. First of all, Suite CRM is what we call open source software. It's software that's managed by a community. Nobody owns it. You're allowed to host it, and that's what Market Magnet is doing on your behalf. And by hosting, it basically means it lives on the internet. So you will access your Suite CRM via a website address, which you will know already, and you will access it via logging in with a username and a password, which you would have set up already. If you're not sure how to do that, then contact us. And once you have logged into your Suite CRM, you'll be presented with what you see right here. This is what we call the dashboard. And the dashboard contains a whole bunch of smaller dashboards called dashlets, which you can modify, change, move around, do with as you see fit to modify just for you. One thing to note is if you change something, it only changes it for you. It doesn't change it for your colleagues that are logging into the same CRM. So feel free to modify this and customize this as much as you like. And in a later video, we will go through looking at dashlets. The other concept I want to run through is why are you using a Suite CRM? This may seem like additional admin that you need to go through, an additional workload, and you probably feel like you've got enough on your plate already. I really want to stress just very, very powerfully that every successful business that has more than 2 or 3 employees really requires the use of a CRM. So what is a CRM? It stands for Customer Relationship Management. So every interaction that you have with a customer, I want to add to that and say every interaction you have with a supplier needs to be recorded in the software. Why? That is so your colleagues, management, people working in your department can see what is going on. It means all the information is kept in one place where everybody can check in and have a snapshot view and a historical view and a view of what's planned in the future that is pertains to a supplier or pertains to a customer. It's absolutely vital. You're probably doing this already. You may be doing this via your email package. You may be doing this via a paper diary. The trick with those things is that information is isolated. No one else can access it, which seems great and from a privacy point of view, but really sucks when it comes to managing it in a business where information needs to be shared. So CRM is absolutely key, and you really need to be sharing the information in your business freely, and a CRM lets you do that. So I encourage you, in fact I insist in what capacity that I can, that you live, eat, breathe inside a CRM. What you're seeing here on the screen here should become your dashboard, should become your desktop that you live in. This is the master. If you want someone to do something, you set them a task in here, and they may head off to Pastel or to some other software using to execute that task, but they pick up the request from here and they come back here and say that the request is being completed. So this should start running your world. A couple of concepts as well in terms of Suite CRM and how it's set up. It is a generic CRM, which means we need to customize it to suit your particular business. And there are a couple of concepts that we need to hold in mind when we navigate through this. So before we start clicking on menus and actually navigating around, I want to just demonstrate to you one of the key components of understanding how a CRM works, in particular Suite CRM. So to do that, I'm just going to head over to this menu item. At the top here, as you can see, there's a whole host of menu items. So the first one I want to deal with is sales, mainly just to show you the different categories of data, grouping of data that we need to understand. So the first thing on this menu is home. If you hit home, or you hit the little icon of home up in the corner, it's going to bring you to your dashboard, which you're seeing now. Next one down is an account. What is an account? An account is typically an account will be a company in your CRM. So for example, let's say that we are doing business with Disney, and if we wanted to capture Disney into the CRM, we would create an account, and the account would be called Disney. Disney is the company that we're working with. So it's not a human being, it's an entity. It's unlikely to have a cell phone number or a mobile number. It may have an email address, but that email address is not going to be read by the company. It's going to be read by somebody who works at the company. So a company is nothing without the people that work for it. So if an account represents a company, contacts represent people who work for that company. So once I've loaded Disney, I'm going to load a contact at that at that company, and that may be Walt Disney. So Walt will have a cell phone number if he shares it with us. Walt will have an email address, and any interaction we have with Disney will be via a contact at that company, and that in this example would be Walt. So a contact must be linked to an account, also known as a company, and an account that doesn't have any contacts working for it is pointless. We can't communicate with it. It's not a robot. So accounts and contacts are very, very powerfully linked. The one confusing aspect that can come through is there are circumstances when you will deal with an individual with a contact who's not linked with an account. You may have an individual who comes to you to buy what you're selling, and they're buying it in their personal capacity. To make sure that we keep with the format of accounts and contacts, what we request that you do is you take the contact, let's call the contact Robin, you create that contact, and then you link that contact to an account, and you simply call that account Robin Household. Because Robin may send in his wife or his daughter or a friend to come and buy things on his behalf, in which case you can load those people as contacts for the account / company called Robin Household. So that's how we'll deal with individuals. An opportunity represents a business deal that lies with an account. So with Disney, we may be wanting to sell new animation software to Disney so they can get their latest movie up and going, and they have requested quotes, and we're one of the many people that are quoting for that job. That means we have a business opportunity that exists with that account. And that opportunity will have stages, as we've discussed already through our training. They'll go through different stages of where they are in terms of this deal's evolution, and we'll record those stages and underneath the sector in the CRM called opportunity. So that's what opportunities are about. And then a lead is slightly different to the above. A lead is a record that you capture to the software that doesn't actually represent any business just yet. It's a lead, it's someone that you think you might want to do business with. Perhaps they don't even know you exist yet, but you want to capture their details as a reminder to follow up with them to see if there's any potential for business. So that's a lead. Not very fussy, you can pretty much do what you want with a lead, and the moment you've investigated a lead to a point that you think a real business opportunity lies there, we can convert that lead into an account and a contact and create the business opportunity that exists with them. So leads are kind of a preamble before they become accounts and contacts and potentially opportunities. So that's quite important to understand when we're navigating through the CRM. And so in summary, an account is the company or the entity that will have a host of different contacts that belong to it. Contacts are the individuals, that's where email addresses, especially personal email addresses and cell phone numbers will belong. A business opportunity belongs to an account, and leads are those things that we are investigating to see if they can be turned into an account and a contact and hopefully a business opportunity. So that in a nutshell gives you the overview of the logic behind how Suite CRM is working. Navigating around Suite CRM is pretty straightforward. You've got a couple of options, different ways to move around the program, and I'm going to run you through some of the basics. But the great thing about Suite CRM is there's many ways to skin a cat. So you'll find your own way of moving around the program, your own shortcuts, but I'm going to give you an overview right now. Once you've logged in, you're going to be presented with your dashboard. So that's what we're looking at right now. You can see we have a host of dashlets. We've got my calls, my activity stream, my meetings, my 10 opportunities, my accounts, and so on and so forth. Now, these dashlets can be removed, they can be added, they can be changed, they can be modified to suit whatever information that you want. So if you're an admin style person, you may want more historical type information, what quotes are being closed, being sent out, that type of thing. If you're a salesperson, you may be more interested in what's planned for your day, the calls that are coming, meetings that you have to do.
and so on. If you're in management, you might want to be looking at open opportunities, what's in the pipeline, what business is likely to be landed and when. One little dashboard I really enjoy, and I encourage you to have right up on the front right of your screen, is this activity stream. And this gives you a brief overview of exactly what's going on in your program. As your fellow users create things and delete things and move them around, you'll see a list here, kind of like we're used to in social media, a feed of exactly what is happening. And you can also do little posts here. I did one a short while ago. I'm logged in as Will Weston. Will Weston says hi there, and Will Weston replied to himself because it seems he has no friends, and he said hi back. So it's a nice way also just to stay in touch with your colleagues, especially if you're not working in the same office or you spread around the country, or just on different floors of your building. So that's the overview of Dashlets. You can click on the little pencil icon and that'll take you into the configuration section, so you can configure that Dashlet to suit you. This little arrow is a refresh. So if it's not set to auto refresh, you can manually refresh it and bring in the latest data. And you can remove Dashlets with that little X. So if you recall, in the last time I took you through accounts, contacts, opportunities and leads. So from a navigational point of view, let's do the same thing. So I'm going to head over here to this menu and I'm going to click on accounts. That's going to bring up a list of accounts. As I mentioned before, there's a couple of ways to move around the program. If I go to marketing, you'll see there's also a way to get to accounts. So I could click that, it'll take me through to accounts. This section lists all the navigational options, and again there is accounts listed once more. So any one of those will bring you through to a list of accounts. Now by now you should have an import of your data into your CRM. If there isn't an import, it's probably because we don't have any data. You're either a new business or you weren't keeping records beforehand. But hopefully you've got this data in front of you, companies that you recognize. If not, maybe perhaps you're using this demo and you're seeing the same thing that I'm seeing right now. But right now I can see a list of all the accounts, also known as companies, that exist within this CRM. So we have a company called Cloud Cover Trust. If I click on that, everything in red is clickable. I'll get more details about Cloud Cover Trust. It's been assigned to my colleague Sarah. She's looking after it, and the email address for this company is that. I can change these columns, reorder them, and which columns appear, disappear. If you're not sure how to do that, perhaps we'll cover that later. Otherwise, ask your administrator to configure this to suit just what you want. Now from here on, the navigation is exactly the same. If I want to see a list of accounts, I've gone to sales and I clicked accounts. That's my list. If I want to see a list of contacts, I do the same thing. I just click on contacts this time, and just like before, there are other ways to find the contact menu. You can see it here under marketing, and again under all, there's another list of accounts there. Sorry, contacts. So here we have a list of contacts. Mia Balls is an individual. She works for DDD Furniture. That's her email address, and it's been the user Sally, and Sally is looking after this contact and this account for us. So again, everything is clickable. If I head back to sales, I have opportunities. Remember, opportunities are business deals. So let's come down to one we recognize. We were having a look at Cloud Cover Trust earlier, so that's the account. We have a deal on the table, an opportunity with Cloud Cover Trust to purchase 1,000 units from us. It is at that stage in the sales cycle. It's worth 50,000 Rand, and we are forecasting that we're likely to close this business next year. So definitely a long-term project, this particular one. But again, I can click on any one of those things and get a zoomed in view. So that is accounts. Sorry, that is opportunities. And then finally we have leads. Now leads are a little different, as I mentioned before. Leads are just a record. It can be the name of a company, it can be the name of an individual. It's just someone that you have come across, maybe a business card at a network meeting or a billboard that you saw driving down the road, and you want to investigate as to whether there's any potential business there, and you just quickly want to capture those people, all those companies, into the program so that you can follow up with later. And this is the list of leads. Once we know that a lead has potential business, we can convert them from a lead into an account, and a contact being the person who works for that account. So there's an overview of navigating around Suite CRM. creating an account inside Suite CRM is pretty straightforward. So the way you do it is you want to navigate to the account section, and as mentioned before, you've got a couple of options for that. Under sales, we've got accounts. If I go through to that, there'll be an option to create a new account. If I'm looking for a shortcut, I can use this create button here on the right hand side, which just jumps me straight through to the create account section. One thing to bear in mind before you go and create a new account is make sure it doesn't exist already. In the early stages of your CRM, that's probably going to be fairly straightforward. But as time goes by, you may find that an account already exists, and you don't really want to be creating a duplicate account, because then you start getting information that is not reliable inside your CRM. So for now, we're going to assume that an account doesn't exist, and we're going to create an account. So I'm going to follow through on the navigation we did before and click through to accounts. And you'll see on the left hand side here I've got a summary of where I've been navigating through recently, so I can use those as shortcut keys to get around. But today we want to create an account, so I'm just going to click on create account right there, and it brings up a form that's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to use the Walt Disney example as we start with, and the company is Disney, so I'm going to load Disney here. I'm going to give it a bogus telephone number. The website is disney.com. Now, there are certain things that you have to fill out that would be marked by a little red asterisk. The rest is voluntarily. So whether you capture it or not really comes down to, do you want to have access to that information at a later date? We have a basic premise that if in doubt, capture it. It's always easier to ignore information in the future rather than wish you had information you no longer have access to. But the point being is you only need to capture what you want to capture. And you may capture a summary if you're in a rush, and you can come back and fill out the details later, although we do encourage you to fill these out correctly first time around, because often there isn't any time later and there's no time like the present. So I'm not going to fill in an email address here, because who would I email at Disney? Disney's not a person. So I'm actually going to leave that blank, but you could certainly fill it out. You could fill out things here as well. I happen to know that Disney is based in Florida, I think, and that's in the USA. And I could give a description of this account, and I'm going to say things like inventor of Mickey Mouse. But really, you can put anything you want in there, and you don't need to put anything in there at all. And who is going to be running that? Will Weston, that's me. But if I can select another user, I hit that, gives me a pop-up menu, and it gives me a list of the other people in my company. So I could assign this to Jim Brennan if I wanted to, or Max Jensen, and just clicking on that will assign that person. I could also delete this and just start typing Jim, and it'll prompt me to put Jim in there. But let's go back to Will and keep it with Will Weston. All right, we can add some more information here. Who are they? This is a prospect. We don't have any business with them yet. What industry are they in? We can see what industry they may be in. That comes with us. I'm not seeing anything obvious here. Let's put them in the technology section. Now, these drop-down menus can be customized to suit you. So if a menu doesn't make sense for you, make a note of where it is. Let us know. We can modify that menu to suit your business. And you can fill out other aspects here. If this contact came in as a result of a particular marketing campaign, you might attribute it to that. And if it's a member of a particular group, you can add it in there. We can also remove some of these fields so you're not presented with them. But nonetheless, that is the basics of how to create an account. So if I hit save right now, it gives me the overview of Disney. And if I go and have a look at view accounts, you'll see it files with the latest one at the top, and it's giving me the details. Now, you'll notice here it doesn't actually give me Florida and USA, which I filled out. And the reason for that is this particular overview is set up to show me billing addresses, and I filled those fields in under shipping addresses, which is why it's not showing. This is a demo data that gets refreshed every hour, so I can't make any changes in here without them just being reset. So we won't bother with that, but that is the reason why it's not sorted, not appearing here. But very straightforward, that's how you set up accounts. Now that we've created the account called Disney, we need to create a contact for that account. So we have someone at the company to contact. So I'm in the account section right now, and you can see that there's the Disney account that we've created. So now we need to create a contact for that. So there's a couple of ways to do it. The simplest way to do that is actually to click on Disney and go into the account section. So there it is loaded up. A couple of things here. You can edit this. You can actually edit straight into the fields by clicking on the gray block. I don't find that the simplest way to work. I prefer to actually use this actions menu above here and work with that. I just find that sometimes it hangs up. So I like to go into actions, click edit, and it brings up that same form field that we filled out earlier. So I'm going to get out of that, cancel that. And I'm going to scroll down here, and you're going to see these different modules. We're going to go through those modules in a bit, but for now, I actually just want to start with the contact. You can reorder these modules. I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to just click and drag, and I'm dragging the contacts module further up. It just makes sense to me that the first thing I want to see after looking at an account is the contacts that work for that. So I'm just going to open that by clicking on it, and I've got an option here to create. A drop down menu that lets me select, but seeing as I have no contacts created, there's no one to select. So I'm just going to click on the create on the actual text, and voila, I can now create a contact for this account. So let's add in Mr. Walt Disney here. So that's a Mr. First name is Walt, surname is Disney. Now, quite key, Suite CRM uses the surname to order everything. So you have to have a surname. If you don't have a surname, you can't leave it blank. So in which case, put the first name in there until you get the surname or the last name. But it's a prerequisite. It's a field that has to be filled out. So something's got to go in there. All right, we're just going to add in some data here. Now we'll need an email address. So I'm going to go walt@disney.com. because that's how I email Walt at Disney. Lead source, for me, that's pretty critical. We can modify this to suit your company, but we've got a drop-down menu of how did this client come to be. So let's say he came in via our website. So I'm going to select website. That's absolutely critical. As a marketer, we want to know where the leads are coming from. So please do your business owner, do your marketing department a huge service by recording where you are getting your leads from. It makes a massive difference to finding out what's successful and then being able to leverage that success to everybody's benefit. So that's quite key. Let's hit save. And as simple as that, we're still in the account. We're in the Disney account. You know that by the account section is in red, and we can see Disney here. And if I scroll down, I can see I have Mr. Walt Disney, who now works for that account. And if I click on that, I will be able to drill in and see Mr. Disney. The other way I could see that is I can go to a list of accounts, and this should be at the top of the list. No, it's been organized by alphabetical order, so we won't go hunt around in that right now. Well, let's just see if we flip this around. If we can find him quickly. No, as I mentioned, this is sample data with lots of people editing this all the time as I'm doing this. So we'll leave that alone right now, but Mr. Walt Disney is in there. In fact, let's use this opportunity to do the search button. So I can do a search up here by clicking on that arrow for Walt Disney. Oops, single L. Hit enter. And there we go. There's our contact, Mr. Walt Disney. So that is a nice, great way to quickly check if someone is pre-existing in the database before you go and create them. So that is how we create an account and create a contact and link it to that account. So we've created Mr. Walt Disney as a contact for the Disney account. Let's have a closer look at some of the other features that are linked to accounts and contacts. They're pretty similar layouts, so I'm actually going to jump in at the account level. And let's have a look at what's going on here. So I'm going to scroll down. As I mentioned earlier, we have these modules that we can move around as we need. So the most important ones for me are contacts, as already mentioned, activities, history, opportunities. I'm going to move that up in that order. And those are the ones we're going to go through today. So we've already gone through contacts. If I open that up, we'll see that Mr. Walt Disney works for the Disney account. The next one I want to look at is activities. So activities are activities that are planned for the future with this account. So anything that's upcoming will be listed here under the activities. Once that activity is completed, it will automatically file itself under the history module. So by opening these two, you'll quickly get a snapshot of what has gone before and what is planned for the future. So let's go ahead and create a task here quickly for the Disney account. So we've loaded them here, we've created them. It doesn't make sense for us to add someone to the database and then actually not put some form of activity involved. So I've hit create task now, and I'm going to create a very simple task. I'm going to create a sales call. So simple as that. I haven't started it yet. It's related to the account called Disney. I can drop down here and I can relate it to a whole host of things. As mentioned before, a lot of this will go through in due course, but for now we're going to stick with account and contact. So it's related to the contact, and the contact is Disney. When do I want to start this? Let's start this today, and I want to start it I want to start this at 9 o'clock in the morning. And when is it due? It's due by 9:15. Phone call shouldn't take very long. So there we go. We can select a priority, who's it assigned to, and we can set the goal of the task. So let's set a task here to introduce ourselves. All right, nice and simple. And what's key here is I can assign this task to someone. So I'm going to assign it to myself, Will Weston. Click Save. And it'll bring us straight back to create task. And you can see we've got a sales call set for the 29th of April. I can drill into that sales call, and it'll also appear on our calendar as a dashlet. If you have a calendar dashlet set up, you'll see it on there. In fact, let's quickly take a look at the calendar. Let's have a look at the calendar. We should see that sales call scheduled on that calendar. There it is. It's already put in place. So that's pretty useful. To get back where we've come from, just use the shortcut menu over here on the left, and we pop straight back to the account, and there is the activity. Alright, let's jump ahead in the future, and let's just say that that has happened now. So I have to action this call. So I'm going to make this telephone call. I'm clicking into the sales call so I can record the outcome of the sales call. So here we go. I'm going to say they loved us and want to meet. So you could put anything in here, but it's an overview of what happened. Over here we want to change this to completed. It's done, and if I hit save, you will notice now that if I go back to the account, I'm clicking on Disney there. If I go look at the activity section, that will now be blank because the activity is being completed, but under history you can see that there is a sales call that's being completed. So that's a pretty cool little feature there, that it automatically refiles itself. But every single task in a CRM should result in an ongoing task. Anytime you create something in the CRM, you don't leave it without creating a future task, even if it's for a year's time, just to check in to see if there's any change in their circumstances in future business. You always leave an open task with every single account in your CRM. So let's do that. If you remember from the call, I said they're keen to meet us. So why don't we go ahead and create a meeting? So I'm going to schedule a meeting. And let's do sales. Oh, let's make it a needs analysis meeting. It's planned, related to the account. Let's schedule that for Monday. 11 a.m. is good for me. Let's make it 1 hour long, automatically adjust it. I can add reminders in here, which is pretty cool. I can do a pop-up reminder, I can email a reminder, whatever the case may be. I can put a description of what the planned agenda of the meeting should be, and I can save it. And this works in the same fashion as that phone call. So we'll see now under activities that we have a needs analysis meeting planned, and if we go look at the calendar, we'll see that that's placed there. Let's jump in our time machine, scoot forward, and did you notice there I clicked on the needs analysis? It was red, so therefore it's a hyperlink. Let's jump into the future and edit this and give the results of that meeting. So I'm going to change this to held, and I'm going to add in a result. They have requested a quote. It's all going very well. And these are some cool features of the meeting where you can see busy time. The blue blocks represent busy time. Yeah, so it's a nice way to find time on your calendar. It's with another user that's inside your CRM. We're going to keep things simple now. This is pretty straightforward. You figure out in your own time. But there we go. We've set the results of that meeting, and we'll notice now if we come back to the account. Under Disney, the activity section will again be blank because that activity has been completed, and we'll see 2 results in the history. So that's a very simple way of attributing tasks to someone. And let's create another task here to demonstrate. We'll keep that straightforward. If I hit save, I can go ahead and look at all the tasks that are attributed to me. So if I hit tasks here, it gives me the latest task that I've just created myself. Create quote, forgive the poor spelling there. And if it's got an X, it means it's not completed. So I can make a dashlet on my dashboard where I can have all my open tasks. I at a glance can see what's been attributed to me. And it's a nice summary overview to see how my day is planned. So that works really well. Let's pop back to the account. Scroll down. So as an overview, we've got the contact that works for that. We've got the activities that are planned for the future. We've got the history of what's gone before. And then finally, we have opportunities. So we haven't set up an opportunity yet, but given that we've been asked to provide a quote, we definitely know that there's an opportunity on the way. So let's create that opportunity. So very simple, and you'll see the same logic every single time. So we have, I'm going to call it animation software. That's what we're selling. The currency is in US dollars. In your particular setup, we will have changed that to your currency. We've got options here. It's a new business opportunity amount. Let's call it $1,000. We can set the date we expect it to close. Let's make it the end of next month. We can set the stage that we're at. Now these stages will set up for you to suit your company, so that should be already set up. If not, let us know, but we can tailor make this to suit stages that make sense for your sales cycle. So we're going to put it here at price quote and so on. So I hit save. Now we have the business opportunity saved. So I'm still in the Disney account, and all of a sudden under opportunities you can see we have $1,000 deal on the table ready to go to be closed. And the great thing about that is if I'm sick, if Will Weston is sick and a colleague of mine has to step in to run the business, he at a glance can log into the CRM or log into Disney and see the tasks that have gone before and the tasks that are planned. So the company keeps going seamlessly. No longer do you have those messages to the client going, Will's not in today, I'll get him back to you tomorrow. And that's not very professional, and maybe Disney moves on to someone else who is using a CRM, who is more efficient, and they get the business instead of you. So this is the key value of the CRM, and that everybody's on the same page and are ready to go. So that is creating accounts, working with accounts and contacts, creating tasks, completing the tasks, and creating an opportunity within those tasks. Up to now, we've been looking at adding data into the CRM. So let's move along and look at working with data. Let's create a real life situation. Let's say you are at work behind your desk and the phone rings. How do you relate that phone call activity through to your CRM? So let's work with some of the sample data that's already in this particular demo version of the CRM. And let's say the phone rings and the person answers and identifies themselves as someone from the Spindle Broadcast Corporation. I'm using that because I see this name here, but let's say that it wasn't represented there. They just identified them as someone from the Spindle. So I'd quickly just check to see if they exist already in my database, because if they don't, I'm going to create a new contact and account or lead. So let's quickly search for Spindle. Sometimes this doesn't show up, so we hit the basic search option, and it brings through that this person does exist. Well, this account does exist. And this person goes on to identify themselves and gives them a name. So let's just see what contacts work for Spindle Company. And let's say that person identifies themselves as Nicholas. So we've got Nicholas calling in from the Spindle Company. So that's great. Now we want to record the outcome of that phone call. So I'm going to click through to Nicholas Carruthers and get a quick overview of what has gone before with Nicholas. So we know, it looks like we've got a proposal sitting with Nicholas. Bearing in mind, this is the first time as I'm recording this with you that I'm seeing this. So this is a real life example of me trying to gather the data just like you would if you were working with someone for the first time. Let's see if we've got any opportunities on the table with this company, and I see we do. So we've got an opportunity that's only going to be closing next year. It's a fairly large ticket item, so we want to treat this guy with kid gloves and make sure we get this deal. So depending on how the conversation goes and how much time you've got, you'll be able to click through onto these things and get a better picture of the background. So let's have a look at the opportunity. All right, we've got no details on the opportunity, so that's either a lazy co-worker who hasn't recorded anything here, or there's actually been no movement on this opportunity. But let's go back to Nicholas Carruthers, seeing as that is who we're on the phone with, and see what's sitting here. So we have a proposal that has been sent, and an introduction that has been completed, and let's see what activity is there. No activities. So we're on the phone right now with Nicholas. Let's log this call. So very simple. What is Nicholas calling about us? He is chasing his quote. Let's say we promised him a quote and it hasn't been delivered yet. So someone hasn't done their task, and that's what he's calling about. So this is an inbound call. It will be held because by the end of this phone call it will be completed. It's related to the Spindle Broadcast Company. It's happening right now, live time. That is the time that's happening, and we want to say here that Nicholas of computer lag there, bear with me. So Nicholas wants his quote, it's attributed to that. So this is the results of the phone call. Now, as I said before, every action in a CRM should result in a task. So we're going to save this and we're going to create a new task. Now, the reason that particular task didn't appear here in the activity section is we said it has been held. So you can see here it's been automatically filed directly into the history module. So let's create a new task. We've now hung up with Nicholas, we've put the phone down, and now we want to let the right person know that he wants his quote. So let's just quickly see who's handling it. So Sally Bronson is responsible for this business opportunity. So I'm going to give Sally a task. So let's go send his quote. I'm going to say not started, it's related to that. Start date, let's work on Monday. We want to get it off first thing in the morning, so let's make that 8 o'clock. And due date, we'll make it by same day, 15 minutes later, so we'll make that 8:15. Very high priority, and send quote as per proposal. All right, I want to attribute it to Sally. So let's scroll down here and just choose Sally Bronson. So save. Now, this is also one of the most powerful parts of the CRM. Without a CRM, what would you do in the past? You'd probably open up your email and send Sally an email. So now you don't have to do that. So this is where CRM is not additional work, it's replacing work you're already doing. It means you don't have to write an email. It means that you now have some control over whether Sally actually does this or not, because if you send her an email, you've got no idea whether she's actually going to get around to sending this quote. Whereas now, it's been logged as a task for Sally, and we can come back and see if Sally's actually done it, because Sally should have marked this as complete once it's done. But let's have a look at the activity, and there you can see that we have a task attributed to Sally to send this quote. So that's pretty critical way to make sure that we're managing tasks effectively and moving clients along the list. So that's how we're managing tasks, and managing setting meetings, tasks. And these tasks can be anything from hit the photocopy machine, buy more coffee, meeting request. It really doesn't matter, but it's a way to pass information around between each other that's not limited to sending emails, to writing on pieces of paper, to making phone calls. It's actually a digital version where there's a record of what's going on. So it's incredibly powerful and really enables a degree of tracking and a degree of management, which is really probably the most critical function of the CRM.